Hello, and welcome back to our Life Group Leaders Lounge. My name is Brooks, and I'm joined with our awesome co-hosts,
Raquel.
And Braden.
And we have a special guest.
Micaiah.
Micaiah is here with us, Raquel's youngest. So, as usual, we are here to inspire, train, and equip you to be the best life group leader you can be. And today's topic, gang, we're going to be discussing is what do you do during your first week? What do you do during your first session? So we're going to do a little bit of brainstorming, talking about it, give you some ideas, some things to think about, because you should be getting this during your first week of the spring semester.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's jump in. So Raquel, what is the first thing that you think about when you think about your first meeting?
Well, setting up my space. Whether that's on Zoom or at home, like literally making sure that I'm ready to receive people.
I mean, you have 4 kids, so that's really important.
I know. It was, yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if it's a mom thing in me or, but yeah, I need to make sure like all of our technical stuff is working almost every time we have an issue with like the TV streaming Right Now Media, because I don't know what I'm doing with cords. Yeah, Zoom, making sure you know how to work and operate that. Yeah. Clean space, lights on, maybe it smells good. That's usually where I start. It gets me in the right headspace too.
I'm glad you brought up the Zoom, because I know some of our groups are still meeting online, so it's always good to make sure that you test everything, make sure that everyone has the login info, has the link for Zoom.
Has Zoom downloaded? I mean, some people don't even, what's Zoom? Do I have to have it pre-downloaded? Yes. And so...
Right.
Communicate with your group, because some members might need help, like me, learning the process of Zoom.
And let's say you live at a location that's kind of tricky to find. Like, my life group isn't at my house, but if it was, my house is a little bit tricky that first time to find. So, like, setting up that space, I think, is just making it as easy as possible for people to be there for the first time.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so setting the space. What else are we thinking about, Brandon? What do you do next once you're set the space? How do you begin your meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I think introductions are so important. And whether and Brooks, something you and I have talked about, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too, but whether it's the same group of people or some new members in there, it's so important just to continue to get to know each other. And the memorable way that I think about it is, and this might sound a little weird, but like try to get to know someone in a dumb level and in a deep level. And here's what I mean by that.
No, I like it.
Dumb and deep. So dumb, I don't mean actually dumb. I mean it as like a casual way. So Silly, yeah. And silly, kind of like not so serious. And so some things might be something like this, like, hey, I'm really into tea, for example. I can talk about tea all day. I can talk about stocks, like the NFL, those kind of things that are not my main passion in life, like following Jesus, but are fun to me. That's like something that, hey, that's something like kind of casual to get to know Braden about. How can I pull that out of others? What is something a hobby of yours? What's something you're interested in? What's something that you like to read about that's maybe a little weird or nerdy, or things like that. And there's no exact way of doing it, but getting to know someone on a casual level and then on a deep level. And there's many questions you could ask. One that I like to ask people, since I love scripture, is like, what's a Bible verse that's like your favorite, or a life motto from it, or a favorite quote that you live by? Yeah. Those kind of things that give you key insight, because especially if you can remember that, you get to know a little piece of their heart when you hear them answer that. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think asking an open-ended question, especially when it's deep, so that there isn't like just a yes or no answer to it. But like one question that I ask people is like, how's your soul right now? Yeah. Like, how's your soul? Yeah. Or, what is something, like I was just thinking about this as I was driving into the office today, is like, what is something fresh that God is doing in your life right now? Yeah. So whether you've been in a life group with someone for 2 years or they're brand new in your group, every one of us can answer that question.
That's true. Definitely.
And so I think one thing you brought up, Brady, I just want to talk about real quick, is you said, like in your introduction, sometimes you're in a group of people that 90% of them pretty well. They've been in your group for a long time, and you may have maybe a couple there, or maybe a couple new people there. I'm always trying to think of, hey, even though we've been around each other and we're familiar with one another, there's always ways that you can go deeper getting to know someone. Yes. So just because you have just a couple new people, I'd still encourage us as groups to try to still keep those introductory stuff coming, because we're always learning about one another.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah, for sure.
And this is like my deep thought of the day on this. This is what I bring up often, is there are 3 inexhaustible subjects in the world: God, yourself, and others. those three inexhaustible, persons, but subjects, mean that there's always more to know and cherish about those people. So there's always more to know and cherish about God. And that one seems kind of self-explanatory because he's infinite. But we also, as people, as image bearers of God, are inexhaustible in getting to know ourselves, like self-discovery, but also one another. So what I love about your point there is, hey, I think I know my group pretty well, but there's more to know about them. How can I ask fresh questions, good questions, to continue to get to know the inexhaustible well of their soul?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So after we do the intro, after we set the space, Raquel, what's something else that you do next in your group?
Well,
then?
so more to that, and also more to setting up the space, literally setting up the space emotionally. I always like to start off with my group. Like you said, we know a lot of the members in our group, and then there are new members, and I always like to make it very clear, this is a safe place. Any questions you might have, any vulnerabilities that you share, any, like, we joke, what happens in group stays in group.
Yes.
And that truly means like all aspects. If you, I also talk about my group members as my 3 a.m. friends. If you call me at 3 a.m., I will answer the phone for you. I don't care what it is. I don't care what kind of, maybe you're in trouble or maybe you made a mistake or you're anything. Like, we are here for each other, and this is a safe place.
Yeah.
And we can share everything openly, honestly, ask your hard questions, share your hardest struggles, because we're here together. We're doing life together.
I mean, Raquel, something that I've always respected about you as you lead, and you lead it by example, is this case of vulnerability. This, your heart is so open to those around you because you know that by leading that charge, it's more likely that others will be vulnerable. And I guess my one piece of encouragement to those to know is that, like, vulnerability takes time. Mm-hmm. Some people are very natural at being vulnerable. They can come into a new setting, a new group, and they will share their life story with you on day one. But some people, like, I'm just think of my wife, for example, it's going to take time. But when you unlock that, that's a beautiful and precious thing that she's going to give to you, is to be vulnerable. So to be encouraged, if you have people in your group that, hey, they're not being open and honest about everything right away, give it time. Don't be offended. They are being present. They are there for a reason. They are choosing to be there. It's okay that vulnerability takes some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree. And that's something we want to be praying for discernment on as leaders, is that, the Lord is working in this person's life in ways that maybe you don't know yet, especially if they're new or even if they've been going for a while. Like, so God may start to show you certain things in someone's life before maybe they even see it themselves. So that's something where you just want to pray for God's discernment of, like, when to go deep with someone until they're ready, right? Because people have walls up, and part of that is doing what we really value in a life group is developing authentic relationships, and that authenticity takes time.
Yeah.
So we want to give space for that for sure. So I think that's really great, Raquel, to bring that up, is just like setting that stage and those expectations, and I mean just that culture. Piece is really important on the very front end of a life group season, for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing I would say is maybe we could talk about that team aspect of your life group as well.
And how's that pertain to the first week especially? Because I know we're going to continue to talk about building a team.
Yeah.
But building a team on first week.
Yeah. Well, this is that idea of, like, okay, is there anybody here in my group that has a heart for serving our community?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, does someone in your group really want to start serving people outside of your group context? And in that case, you can bring that up and say, hey, would anyone like to take on that role this semester of a service rep? That's being a part of your team, right? Or it may be, hey, we have 8 people coming to our group. Does anyone here feel really have a desire to, like, maybe get the drinks for everybody? And so they, like Raquel, you talked about a couple podcasts ago, is like, has a hospitality gift where they want to be here to just be able to support the team and the group.
Yeah.
So talking about those roles in the first week may be a great use of that time.
Or even beforehand, in the sense of, if you have a hospitality gifted member in your group, hey, can you help me set my space?
Even before the first meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, I think that's proactive. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we'll bring it home here. Let's close with this last point here. So I just want to ask you guys this question of, in your first meeting, what do you do with the study? Like, do you watch our video, Right Now Media video? Do you go over the sermon-based study? Do you do a Bible study? Do you cover the first chapter of your book? What do you guys do? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I plan on it. I always have it ready and prepared. And but I'm flexible and
That's
I
good.
just read the room, because if we have a bunch of new group members that season, we may spend the whole first meeting fellowshipping, introducing each other, learning each other. I will definitely always set that culture and say that this is a safe place, and go over like what we hope to study at least. Maybe watch like the teaser video, if it's a Right Now Media.
Yeah, that's good.
Explain kind of generally. I'll also explain like, because sometimes Nate will leave town and we'll stop group for a week or two while he's out of town, and then we'll come back up. So I'll explain like schedule wise what we're gonna do.
So
But
signposting those things.
yeah, just kind of going over how the group's gonna go for the next 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And yes, prepare to have the study, but potentially we won't do it that first week if
Okay.
things are flowing.
Brandon, what about you? What are you doing?
For first study, my group, I prep original content. Mine is actually very class oriented. It's very interactive and still building relationships, but it's more unique in that regard. And so for me, I prep less, but I always have some part of teaching. We always get to that at some point. And for me, I think the key thing is I want to give them something thoughtful to hold on to. And it's just like at least one thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
And it kind of is like the seed that the whole class, or the whole group, I should say, grows into as we're unpacking whatever content we're going through that term. But I'm giving them that little seed that they can see, I'm excited to be here next week. I'm excited because I met new people or resolved people I like.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited because I see the seed of what this can grow into. And
Cool.
this is exciting to me.
Cool. Okay, good.
How about you?
For me, I kind of do what you said, Raquel, is I introduce the book or the topic for the semester. So I make sure that we talk about maybe even the authors, maybe some of the past stuff that they've written, and then introduce kind of like where we're going for the semester. And then, I usually try to share like a scripture of what God is kind of, where I think God is taking us. And
That's
so I
cool,
usually
yeah.
don't go super deep the first one. I spend
Right.
more time getting to know the group.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of, like you said, signpost for where we're moving
Yeah.
for the semester.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think it's been good. Very helpful conversation. Hopefully you guys feel the freedom to lead as you see fit within your group. So
yes.
if you feel the need to jump right in the text, that's totally up to you. But don't feel pressured either. If you want to just take that first week to just, like we talked about, lay out the culture, talk about some introductions, maybe discuss kind of the setup and moving forward and building a team. So we're happy you're joining with us. We hope you were inspired and encouraged. And if you do like what you're hearing, we'd encourage you to like it and to subscribe. That'll help us to just continue doing this even better. All right. Thank you so much. See ya.